right. Rock and roll singer was not one of the things that I did well when I was young, but we'll get rolling on that. And in any event, so my name's Greg Bjork. I'm the Chief Revenue Officer for ClearData. In that role, I'm responsible for most customer-facing teams that we have. So I have an opportunity to meet with, talk to, and interact with all of our customers over time. I'm very, very happy to present to you one of our customers, RosettaHealth, Kevin Puskis, who's going to join us, talk a little bit about some of the work that they do and what we've done together. Kevin, you want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Sure, thanks. So Kevin Puskis, RosettaHealth. I'm the CTO, CSO, take the garbage out on Thursdays, just, kind of depends. We are a small healthcare IT company, but been in existence for about 10 plus years. We're effectively an interface engine up in the AWS cloud. We started back in the early ONC meaningful use days, building components that were integrated into EHRs, and over time kind of built up this idea of a cloud-based exchange platform. When we started out, we were a small company. There was really 4 of us. We were sitting in a handful of VMs sitting in a data center in Annapolis. But as we grew and matured, we knew we needed to move into AWS, move into something larger, more scalable. And we were looking for a partner to help. The big challenge, we're a small company. We've been totally bootstrapped the whole time. So we're going to stay small. We had looked at some options. We went and talked to ClearData. I think it was HIMSS 2017. And saw the opportunity for a partner that could, basically, as I've always described it, they're our AWS NOC. They're our kind of the force multiplier. We're a small team. We specialize in healthcare interoperability, all the messiness that goes on, underneath the covers. Our CEO likes to say we're the plumbers of healthcare, right? We'll put all the pipes together, figure what moves where. We don't want to be AWS experts. That's not what we do. So we partnered with ClearData 2018 now, I guess it's been. And over that time, they've helped us grow. They've helped us, again, be the HIPAA safeguard, provide us access into the environments in ways that, kind of keeps us in the compliance shell. And really, like I said, they've been the force multiplier for a small company like us. We're still a small company. It's only 10 people. But with that 10 people, we're moving millions and millions of clinical records every day.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. So as Kevin mentioned, they've been a longstanding customer with ClearData, done a lot of excellent work. In fact, he and I were chatting a little bit earlier. We've gone through multiple iterations of technologies with their solutions on the AWS cloud infrastructure and have advanced them a number of different areas in a number of different ways over time. And we're, kind of coming up onto some new things that we're going to be working on as well. But I think everyone here wrestles with some of the same tension, which is how to keep innovation moving forward rapidly without losing sleep at night, because we've got a lot of sensitive data to take care of and a lot of important services to be able to, keep going on the cloud. Kevin, that's something that you mentioned you work with us on doing that. How does that work out with you and your team at this point?
I mean, I think like I said, the critical aspect, as anyone who's running and operating a real production 24/7, 365 system understands is, you can't really pause it. You have data streams going from hospitals and other services in and out and in and out. You can't just say, okay, can you give me a week? I need to do an upgrade or something. I need to change something. I need to migrate something. The thing that we've worked with ClearData on is finding the way to manage those services in a way that, we can make these switchovers, we can make these migrations. I joke that regardless of what people might think, a lot of healthcare moves through VPN still, and there's still a lot of HL7 floating around. How do you migrate when you have to move across VPN appliances, have to move across infrastructure appliances? ClearData has been, a valuable and basically essential partner for doing all of that, and not just kind of running the appliance, but helping us figure out how best to do these types of migrations and how best to capitalize on the AWS services that are available, and also how best to kind of again keep those in the security realm that we need, keep those into the provide the outsource ability for some of the cybersecurity issues that we don't want to have to necessarily be aware of 24/7. I always tell folks, anyone who gets the CISA newsletter, newsletter like every 3 days, there's a new alert about some new tranche of vulnerabilities out there. We don't want to have to be responsible for keeping track of all of that. We've got other things that we want to do. And so ClearData is, again, they're our first multiplier. They are the security arm of us that does monitor all those and does see all those alerts and lets us know, hey, you guys might want to pay attention to this one or this one or this one.
Appreciate that. And that's really, I think, from our perspective, the thing that we bring to market more than anything else, which is really that trust that you can let us take care of the underlying plumbing, speaking of being plumbers, right? The underlying plumbing of your cloud infrastructure, make it secure, compliant, resilient, and allow you to continue to innovate and out-innovate your competition.
Right.
Yeah. So you said that working with us gave you a force multiplier, right? What exactly does that mean to you, I think, in terms of your business?
So again, as I mentioned, we're a small company. We've specialized in the standards, the specs, the use cases, the workflows that deal with clinical data, the moving of clinical data from point A to point B. That's what we know. That's what we're good at. Myself and the other principals, we've been in this space for 20 years now in various guises and forms. And so that's the part we really understand. What we don't want necessarily be is, okay, how do we keep a dozen EC2s up and running, 24/7? How do we don't want to have to deal with, okay, have we made sure that no one's set up an S3 bucket, forgot to turn encryption on? Those types of very mundane things are critically important when you're dealing in a production environment with live data. I mean, I think that's probably the most critical thing that ClearData has brings to us is I don't have to worry about that. When I put on my CISO hat, I don't have to worry about, okay, did one of my developers build some little widget out there somewhere and forget to flip the bit that says, okay, this is secured, this is version, this is backed up. I don't have to worry about that. I don't need to have AWS expertise, not just in an individual, but again, we're 24/7, 365. Something, the 3 a.m. pager duty goes off. I can reach out to ClearData, say, if it's something that's at that level in the stack, hey guys, what's going on? Can you help us out? And they've done that on occasions.
Fantastic. Okay, so we're talking a little bit earlier as well about AI in your business. AI innovation obviously is something I think that everyone's, A, excited about, and B, a little bit kind of apprehensive on, right? Is it going to help? Is it going to hurt? How do I make sure that I can kind of govern this as effectively as possible? How does that look like for you and RosettaHealth in your business?
I would say, so we have been, everyone's playing with it right now. It's very much a trust but verify. It has allowed us to accelerate development of new ideas and new products without a doubt, but it's always, make sure you check the math, because more often than not, as good as these systems are, they might get something wrong. And especially when you're dealing with what are often, and it's always struck me as kind of odd that it gets some of this stuff wrong, what is very spec-driven, computable data. IHE specifications have been around forever. Fire models have been around for quite a while now. It'll still get it wrong on occasion in just some very odd ways you would never consider. And so right now we use it as a development tool. It's a code generator of sorts, but it's never the last word. We've always make sure that we have it somewhere in the pipeline, somewhere in the flow, that, okay, did someone actually check this? Did someone actually run this against real data, not idealized data? If anyone who's dealt with clinical data, test data, it's nice to have, but it's not the world. Real world clinical data is ugly, it's messy. Find me 2 HL7 messages that have the same data format. It's a very sloppy world that we live in. And so trying to use AI against that data set, we have to be very careful. That's why right now we're not using it in anything in real time. It's a code generator. It's a very good code generator. I joke that probably in the past year, I have written 5 lines of code. I've probably generated 10,000. And that's great. But then it's up to us to have the checks in place to make sure those 10,000 lines actually do what they're supposed to do and don't do something they're not supposed to do, which is the bigger danger.
And that's part of what ClearData obviously is focused on, helping you make sure that you have those safeguards in place.
Yeah, I can't speak highly enough about the safeguards. I always said the thing that sold me on ClearData when I saw him at HIMSS in 2017 was they showed a dashboard or something that showed all of the different loggings that they were collecting and how they align to the different HIPAA regulations. I'm like, that's what I need, because otherwise I'm the one that's got to go in and figure out how to do all that. And so again, having that force multiplier, having someone else that has done the grunt work, done the mapping, so that I don't have to worry about it. I can worry about other things. And having that whole safeguard environment and being able to say, and then now with the new MDR capability to say, oh, we have something here that you might want to take a look at. Here's how it maps to, this particular regulation, this particular, control or whatever. And then I can say, okay, yes, I do need to worry about it, or no, I don't. And I think, and again, it's just the force multiplying effect, the time saving effect. I don't have to be an expert in all of these things. This is what I can give to them.
Fantastic. Okay, so we're going to close it out relatively soon. Wanted to hit one more thing with you, if you don't mind, especially for everybody here. Deep, obviously, operator, practitioner in healthcare cloud. Kevin's got a background that really fits, I think, well for all of us to learn from, which is ultimately why we end up coming to places like this. But if there's one lesson, Kevin, one lesson that you could leave everybody with as a leader, what would that be?
So I always go back to, I'm not I'm a nerd, I'm a geek, right? I'm a programmer, whatever. The only business book I ever read, there's a former boss of mine said, oh, everybody must read this, was a book called Good to Great. And it had this notion of what they call the hedgehog principle. Find what you're good at, and what you don't want to be good at, find someone else who is. And I think that allows you to focus on, okay, this I know I can do. These other things I have to have, but I don't want to be an expert in that. And I think that allows you to keep your focus. It also allows you to, the opportunity to find the right partners that can help you maybe bring other ideas into focus, bring other ideas to the front that you hadn't thought about, bring other opportunities. I always say the other thing what we use ClearData for is, I don't know how many of you guys get the AWS newsletters about this is what's new, this is what's new. I mean, it's like Christmas every other Tuesday. You can't keep track of it. So what if it actually applies to what we're trying to do? We work with them on, here's our roadmap. Here are the things we're trying to accomplish. Oh, well, have you thought about this? Have you thought about this? I mean, that's, again, when you're a small company, we're all of 10 people strong. That is incredibly important.
Fantastic. Appreciate that. Great lesson. You're not calling us a hedgehog, though.
No.
Oh, okay.
We're
All
the
right.
hedgehog.
You're the hedgehog. Got it. Love that. Thank you very much.
Around,
All right. So listen, Kevin, I think over the course of this conversation, you've described a partnership built on trust, transparency, and speed,
Yep.
right? Three things that define, I think, modern healthcare IT for all of us. That's exactly what ClearData stands for, why we're proud to build this story with you. We're here for questions if you'd like to ask a question. If not, we are also going to be together at booth 511. Please swing by. Love to chat with you all there if you've got other questions or other things that you'd like to pick up in the background. But do we have any questions? All right. Really appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much.